I think I might have worked out the answer to the Da Vinci Code. If you have a look at a painting of Christopher Columbus, he's got a funny hand, and Adolf Hitler does the funny hand signal as well. Some people think that means it's a secret signal for being a master mason, but I don't think it is. That's actually a genetic trait. People can actually move their fingers like that. I can't do it, but I know there are people that can do it. So that's purely genetic. It's not been a fake painting. It's not people actually have posed like that. And if you go back and look through paintings of royalty and the elite around Europe over the last 1,000 years, it's quite common for them to be painted with the same hand signal, and they seem to deliberately pose with their hand splayed out like that, and to me it appears to be some sort of hand signal, because a lot of the European royalty and the elite bankers and people wealthy enough to get flash paintings done all seem to pose like that. One would assume that they have that genetic trait that allows them to move their fingers like that. There's Queen Elizabeth, that's the Queen of Spain. That's a Medici, the banking. That's King of Austria. That's the Duke of York of England. That's one of the Pope's sons. It's King Leo of Habsburg. All the European royalty seem to do this. The Medici's a banking family, not royalty. And it's all seems to be all around Europe. There's French ones, there's Russian, Scotland, Ireland, Poland, Sweden, there's even the Philippines. This is Alexander Hamilton. He was one of the founding fathers of the United States. Here's some more Americans. It seems a little suspicious they all have the paintings done like that. That's Oliver Cromwell. He started the Civil War in England. That's his wife. That's his brother. Perhaps it's got something to do with money. We have a look at the Dutch East India Company. The people that ran that company all seem to do the funny hand signal as well. Then if you look into the banking, one of the major banking families, the Medicis, they all do it. All the family seems to do it. And if you look at modern billionaires, quite a few of them can do it as well. There's Jeff Bezos. There's Bill Gates, Richard Branson, that's the man from AliExpress. The Chinese can do it. That's one of the Koch brothers. That's Oprah Winfrey. She's an entertainer plus a billionaire. And of course there's the Rothschilds. It doesn't look like Elon Musk can do it. He's not from that bloodline, and nor doesn't look like George Soros is from that bloodline either. If you go back, there's Prince of Bavaria, and you start going back a long way. That's Prince Baldwin of Jerusalem. He gave permission for the Knights Templar And then if you look at the English royal family, it's King James II. They seem to go out of their way to give you the hand signal or display that they can actually do that. Here's all the King Georges. It's Queen Victoria's husband. And then you get into the modern day, there's Prince Charles. It's of the same bloodline. There's one of his good friends, Jimmy Savile, one of the world's biggest paedophiles. And then we've got Prince Charles' son, William. And that's his wedding, and his wife can do it as well. If you look at world leaders now, a lot of them seem to be able to do it as well. That's Obama. That's Trump. And that's Obama's wife. She can do it as well. And if the VP can't do it, his wife can do it. And if the wife can't do it, the husband can do it. And even the daughter can do it. That's the Emperor of Japan. That's the Prime Minister of Japan. That's the President of Turkey, Erdogan. It's Tony Blair, one of the world's war criminals. He used to be Prime Minister of England. Macron, he's France. That's the President of Indonesia. And even North Korea gets a look in. It's King of Saudi Arabia. It's Yasser Arafat. He's not around these days. It's the President of Nepal. Actually doesn't look like Bibi can actually do it. He's not of the same bloodline. But this lawyer can do it. He's obviously from the... Look at the music industry now, and you start looking at LP covers, you can actually spot a few here. That's Freddie Mercury from Queen. You gotta wonder whether he does that deliberately or not. Those would actually be photos, not paintings. And if you look at a few of the stars, that's Jane Fonda. There was actually quite a good book written by Dan Brown, the Da Vinci Code, and they turned it into a movie. It's quite a good movie. And that's Dan Brown there. That's another photo of Dan Brown. The movie was actually directed by Ron Howard, and Tom Hanks was one of the lead characters in the movie. The book was made into quite a good movie. Tom Hanks was running around France and England trying to work out the secret code. And at the end of the movie, they discovered that the woman in the movie was meant to be the child of Jesus Christ.
You are the heir, the end of the bloodline. You are the last living descendant of Jesus Christ.
The story goes that Jesus Christ married Mary Magdalene, and they had some children, and that the powers that be in the Vatican were hiding the fact that there was a bloodline of Jesus Christ, or from Mary Magdalene. The funny thing is, you start looking at paintings of Mary Magdalene, a lot of them have all got the funny hand signal. And then if you start looking at ones of Madonna and Jesus Christ, you start seeing that people have been painting those paintings with the same funny hand signal. And it's not just the old ones, people are doing it with new ones as well. Obviously Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene never posed for any of these paintings, so whoever painted them deliberately with that hand signal. That's quite a modern one. There's quite a lot of them around. That's the Virgin Mary, that's quite a new one, and even the baby has the hand signal. And you start looking at ones of Jesus Christ that people have painted, they do it as well. And sort of going to town with that one there. And you start looking at some quite old ones, and they show that as well. And then you look at other ones, that's St. Francis of Assisi. There's another one, they seem to be doing that a bit overboard. They do it with the woman as well. Here's the man that he started the Jesuits. It's him again. It's another one. Here's the man that started the Protestant Church. And you go and even look at statues, they even do it on the statues. If you have a look in the graveyard in Genoa, in Italy, that's where Christopher Columbus came from, there's some very impressive statues there, and they all do it as well. There's another one. Even the angels do it. That's a statue of Mercury. And if you start looking into stained glass windows in the church, there's quite a few stained glass windows in the churches where somebody's actually done that as well. That's one, I presume that's JC. I presume that's JC and Mary Magdalene. It's another one of JC. Yeah, I presume that's Mary Magdalene having dinner with JC. That's her again. I presume that's Mary Magdalene there. Oh, that's one of the popes. That's one of the Pope's sons. That's paintings in the Vatican. And that's the the present Pope at the moment. Oh, and that's just, I discovered that Jesus Christ in the Vatican's an English football supporter. There's a very good YouTube channel called Useful Charts. He does a lot of historic family trees of various people. There's a very interesting one to watch there, and it's about the royal female bloodline. There's one female bloodline that all the royals in Europe are related to. It's not the males you look at, it's the female bloodline. Yeah, it's well worth having a look.
Dynasty that has been sitting on the thrones of Europe for the last 600 years. This dynasty has been hiding in plain sight, an open secret, so to speak. But strangely, no one has really noticed. What I'm talking about is not some sort of crazy conspiracy theory. but a simple fact of genealogy that can be easily verified by anyone with access to basic sources such as Wikipedia. So why has this highly influential dynasty gone unnoticed? Well, it has gone unnoticed and, until now, unnamed because it's a matrilineal dynasty. Today, I'm going to introduce you to the greatest European royal house of all time, the House of Garsenda.
The female royal bloodline splits into three main branches where all the European royalty are related to come from those three women. And if you look at paintings of each of those three women, that all got the funny hand signal. That's Anne, that's Joanne, and Maria. They're the three main bloodlines that all royalty in Europe had descended from. Now it goes back to about the 1200s. So I suppose the big question is, where does it actually go all the way back to? And does it go back to Mary Magdalene? According to the book, the Vinci Code, which is fiction, Jesus Christ married Mary Magdalene and had children, and that there's a bloodline from Jesus Christ floating around the world at the moment. I don't believe that's true. The Jesus Christ never promoted the idea that the royalty and the bankers should have all the money. The Roman Catholic Church was actually started by Constantine. And then there's been endless fights about who runs the Vatican and the Catholic Church ever since. That's Pope Leo III crowning Charlemagne as emperor. And Charlemagne put the Pope in so he could get the job as the emperor. The book and the movie are actually fiction. But I suppose the female bloodline goes back to the 1200s. I suppose the question is, where does that bloodline go back to? I doubt if it goes back to Mary Magdalene. Here's my theory, and admittedly there's not a lot of information, but I work on the fact that things are hidden in plain sight. If you look at a lot of these church stained glass windows, you'll see that Mary Magdalene has been crowned, and on the top of that crown there's a sphere with a cross, not a Christian cross, and that sphere and Christian cross turns up everywhere on the Holy Roman Empire when they christen the emperor of the Holy Roman Empire. They hold that sphere with the cross. And here's Queen Elizabeth. She's got the cross, or the sphere, the cross and the rod, the same as you'll see in a lot of the church paintings and stained glass windows. I think it goes back to this woman, Cleopatra. In ancient Egypt, she married Julius Caesar. Funny, here's a painting of Mark Antony and Julius Caesar and Cleopatra. Notice the funny hand signal. That's the museum in Cairo, and those carvings are actually of Cleopatra, and she's got, admittedly it's a modern one, but they've got the funny hand signal too. If you work on the theory that things are hidden in plain sight, if you go and have a look in London, you'll find Cleopatra's Needle. We'll just zoom in there, and these are actually meant to be from ancient Egypt. They're brought over to England. On each side of it you'll find a sphinx, a lion, and it's actually got a female head on it. And the other interesting thing is virtually in every country in the world you'll find a Egyptian obelisk, but that one there was meant to be brought over from Alexandria in Egypt. And if you look around the world, there's a Cleopatra's Needle in Paris and in New York. And of course you've got one stuck in the Vatican. My theory is that bloodline goes back to Julius Caesar and Cleopatra, not Jesus Christ. If you have a look at ancient Egyptian artefacts, they had blue and gold or blue and yellow. I think everything's blue and yellow. And the other thing they quite like to do was cross their arms. A lot of the statues there, they all cross their hands like that. And even on the mummies, they have their arms crossed like that as well. And if you look around the world, you'll see blue and gold quite a lot, few places. That's Sweden, that's the flag of Ukraine, that's the flag of the EU, that's the New Zealand police car painted in Royal Egyptian colours. And here's Prince Charles getting crowned with blue and gold carpet. And there's the Vatican with all the soldiers in blue and yellow. And they like crossing their arms like that. And if you keep an eye out, that's the head of the EU meeting somebody by giving an Egyptian crossed arm signal. Seems a bit weird. There's another YouTube channel worth looking at. There's a bloke called Sean Ross. He's got a few YouTube channels. He tours around Switzerland and parts of Europe and points out all the old buildings that are related to the Knights Templar. His theory is that the Knights Templar ended up in Switzerland, and they are descendant from the pharaohs of Egypt, and that they run a lot of the world, which is true. A lot of the world is run out of Switzerland. The as far as the Roman Catholic Church and the Vatican goes, it's always been run by the richest and most powerful people in the world, and there's always been endless battles. So a lot of these churches and these paintings were done by the richest, most powerful people in the world, not the most Christian. There's a group of families called the Papal Bloodlines, and in theory they're meant to be the richest, most powerful people in the world. But I'd lay money that there's one female bloodline that binds them all together. Now imagine a lot of these people, like this bloke here, hasn't the faintest idea about what I'm talking about and don't know anything about it. But imagine this person knows something about it. It's a genetic trait that most people wouldn't have the faintest idea about. But it's quite obvious that these royals seem to go out of their way to have paintings done posing like that, I assume to indicate to other people that they are from the bloodline. And this woman here seemed to have gone out of her way to pose quite strongly. So it all makes you wonder who was running this bloke. He's obviously from that royal bloodline, or that royal female bloodline. That's probably not a fake painting. He probably can move his fingers like that, which tends to make you wonder who was actually running him. I suspect he's posing like that in the painting to actually tell other people that that he's in the same club as all those other people that pose like that in the painting. which I assume means he's from that royal female bloodline that goes back to the 1200s. And obviously it's very debatable where it goes after that, but I doubt very much whether it goes to Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene. Jesus Christ never preached anything like that, and he never preached that the rich and powerful should have everything. In fact, he preached the opposite. I imagine there's hundreds of millions of people in the world that actually have that genetic trait that can move their fingers like that. I don't know what percentage of the world population can do that, but it appears to me that the ruling elite have that genetic trait, and they seem quite happy to go out of their way to display it. And there seems no other reason that they would do all those paintings and go out of their way to paint it with their hands sprayed out like that, which I assume is to indicate to other people who know about it that they are from that royal female bloodline. I doubt very much that all those people go back to Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene, but obviously the rich and powerful have gone out of their way to do paintings and stained glass windows and everything else to display those funny hand signals. So to me it looks like they are going out of their way to indicate to other people in the know who they really are. That's only my guess that that bloodline goes back to Cleopatra. It's only speculation from my point of view, but I'm pretty confident it doesn't go back to Jesus Christ. There's no information to indicate it does. But obviously those people probably believe that. It doesn't necessarily mean it's true. But Cleopatra is a very powerful woman, and that seems to be a combination of the ruling elite out of Rome and the ruling elite out of Egypt marrying and having children and carry on ruling the world for the last 2,000 years by the look of it. And they haven't been particularly nice about it if you look over the last 2,000 years. That's my theory anyway. So I actually suspect that genetic trait goes back to Sumeria, back to Mesopotamia. I suppose, is that the answer to Da Vinci Code? These people may believe they're descended from Jesus Christ, but I doubt it very much. But they're descended from very rich and powerful people